Pastor Frank Diaz has been continuing to do some great things in the Miami community for the poor and especially for the homeless. He fed 1,600 people hot meals between Thursday and Saturday in 3 days. And by the time he got to us on Saturday, all we got was rice and beans and a bagel because there was no meat left. And the reason for that, these guys, his congregation, cook up the hot meals themselves from the raw food that's donated by places like Publix and Trader Joe's and Whole Foods and other supermarkets that's about to date out. So they pull it from their shelves and give it to charity. Only since the lockdown, they've been giving that stuff to food banks instead of to the pastor. So he's largely had to pay for the food out of his donations. And if he is to continue feeding people hot meals that include protein, he will have to raise some more money somehow, because the food donations to his congregation are going elsewhere now. Poor people can't get the food from the food banks because the food banks will only give you the food if you're in a car, and then they give you the food raw, so you can't cook up the meat if you're homeless. You haven't got a kitchen to cook it in. So the people who need it most are the ones who are losing out because of this. And I put links in the description for anybody who wishes to donate some cash so he can purchase the food and cook it up to give it to the people. On Saturday, May 16th, he came out to feed us, and this is what happened. Watch the video. Well, Pastor Frank's out here feeding us, and here come the piggies again. 4 cars. They just went the wrong way down the one way, but I didn't have the camera ready because I had the food in my hands. They rode right past us.
Take care, man.
Now they're all parked over there, stuck in the intersection with no emergency lights on or anything like that. Now the guy in the red shirt who's also filming asks the pastor whether he's gonna give the cops any food, and the pastor's telling him there's none left. Well, at least today they got here after he gave the food out, so they're not going to get to take the food out of our mouths like they did a month ago. We'll see if they harass anybody who received the food for sitting in the park that's supposed to be closed and eating it. Oh, here come 2 more. We even got a supervisor. And a 3rd one. So now it's a total of 7 7 units, including 1 canine and 1 supervisor. All because Pastor Frank's out here feeding homeless people. Oh, there's an 8th one down there now. I don't know.
Why on these cameras? All the cops
Because they had a narcissistic message this morning. Don't talk about us, and now this happens. Don't do that with God's word. That was very narcissistic, your message this morning. Bang, bang, bang.
That guy walked away from the prayer meeting saying, I don't need this. And he didn't get any food. He had a problem with the message in the sermon. Okay, they're now completely obstructing the street. 3 units going one way, 3 units going the other way, down a one-way street, no emergency lights. Only this last one has emergency lights on. And here comes a garbage truck. So now they're all going to move to let the garbage truck through, I guess. Oh, and there's a civilian vehicle there, the black SUV. So I guess they're all moving to let the civilian vehicle through. They saw me filming. We'll see if they harass me about it. Well, it looks like they're all leaving. We'll see if they come back. They appear to be leaving. I left because the pastor told us that we needed to leave after we got the food or after the cops left, because the cops were going to come back and arrest anybody who's eating in the park, because the park's supposed to be closed. Okay, so they didn't leave altogether. They went and they parked around the corner, just out of view, and sat there. The only ones that left were the supervisor and the canine. 2 units parked at the corner of Lincoln Road and Drexel, which is half block south of where we were. 2 units parked at Lincoln Road in Washington, which is also a half block south of where we were. We were on Lincoln Lane, which is the alley that runs between the backs of the stores on Lincoln Mall and the park. And we were between Washington and Drexel. 2 units parked on the opposite side of Washington. Anyway, I walked by them on Drexel on my way out, and I asked one of them why they were there, but the camera was in my pocket and my hands were full with a bag of food, so I didn't get to film them. And he said to me, one of the shopkeepers called to complain that you guys weren't practicing social distancing. I didn't bother asking him why it took 8 cars, 8 units, including a canine, to respond to a call about people not practicing social distancing. But I guess they got nothing else to do because there's nobody in the streets during this lockdown. Well, I suppose I should be thankful they didn't try to take my food when I stopped to talk to them. It leaves me wondering, why is this shopkeeper complaining about a bunch of people not practicing social distancing in the alley behind his store? where nobody can see them except him. And he has to look out the back door of his store to do it. And everybody was wearing masks and gloves. Besides, trying to get homeless people to put on the masks and gloves to begin with is like herding cats. Getting them to practice social distancing is a near impossibility. Because half of them are homeless because their minds are so fried that they can't keep something in their head for more than 5 minutes. So if you told them stay 6 feet apart, they would have done it until they started talking to somebody, and then they'd have completely forgot about it. As soon as their mind went to some other subject, like talking to the person, or why he's complaining about their not practicing social distancing, when the legitimate complaint would have been that they were in the park, which is closed. I think the reality is, if the police ever did really get a call to begin with, that they told the shopkeeper to call them if he sees any homeless people hanging out around his store so they could come hassle them.